I thought we had more style of play clips than we've ever had since I've been here in all three phases. So that's progress as well. And I thought we had some individuals kind of play outside of themselves. What do I mean by that? I don't want to call it a panic, but more of all of a sudden, I got to do more than it's expected of me. You know, we have a route where it's a choice route where the receiver can pull up or take it deep. If you have free access, you're going to pull up. We had an easy completion play, and we decided we're going to take the game over, and we're going to try to run by the corner, and our quarterback is sitting there on his third step ready to throw the pull-up, and all of a sudden he throws a bad ball that's almost intercepted, and to the naked eye, everybody's looking at, you know, what's going on with the quarterback, and it was really the receiver trying to not do what the play was designed for. And that's on us as coaches, that we have to coach that better. We have to do a much better job with that. But, you know, I believe in our players. All the issues are fixable. And that was the encouraged thing, is we did more positive things in that game than we've done in a while. And all you have to do is truly watch the video. But where we're going wrong is we're not getting all 11 for 11, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And I even did it this morning. I could take you through it. I mean, it's amazing going, you know, first series starts off offensively. We come off, we run the ball, we get a 5-yard gain. Really should have been about a 7 or 8 yard gain. But we come up, we got about a 5-yard gain. And then on second down, we have a run play that's out the gate. Could be a house call. And one player up front misses his block, and it becomes a -2 yard gain as opposed to a touchdown. And then on third down, we have a missed pass interference call, and they force a 3 and out. And it it should have been a catchable football. So there's 3 and out. We don't take care of field position. And then, really, if you look about it, the third series is where, you know, we finally put 6 or 7 plays together. And then we have one missed assignment, and it breaks down. You have a negative yardage football play. And that was kind of the theme on offense the entire night, is we had 8, we had 9. We went 15 straight plays where we had 8 to 9 guys, 10 guys doing it right, and one individual was a blinking light, and we didn't execute. So, again, it's us as coaches continue to focus on the details. I told our football team, we got to do simpler better. We got to do little better. That's how you win, is you do the little things that add up to the big thing. It's the little things that nobody sees, but those little things add up to the big things that everybody wants. And so, again, I thought our style of play improved. We still have a long ways to go, but I was encouraged. And I think our players, when they really sat back and they pressed play, and they watched the silent video, and I pointed these things out, I think their whole perspective was different. It should be. Because, again, there's no emotion. There's no opinions. You know, this is a generation where everybody wants to stress their opinions. Even if you're uneducated, you think everybody wants to hear your opinion. The video has no opinion. It's just a fact check. So, again, I'm encouraged in moving forward. We have a long ways to go. But I thought we did some good things. They're fixable, and we can move forward. I said this in the post-game press conference, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say it again. I would like to say thank you, first of all, to our student section, our student body. They were outstanding the way they showed up, but that can't be a one-game thing. We need you there. We need our students there again with us at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Our community support was the best I've seen it since I've been here. And just the excitement, you could feel it. I hurt for them because they were excited, and obviously it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but we're going to continue to need that support moving forward. Again, we've only played 2 games, so the sky's not falling. We just need to stay the course, put our head down, and continue to get better, and we'll be just fine. But again, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We're going to need that on Saturday. In terms of Stony Brook coming in here, they're kind of in the same situation as we are. They've played 2 really quality opponents. And if you know anything about FCS football, the University of Delaware is always a national championship contender. Rhode Island is always in the playoffs. So you look at those 2 teams that they've played. They play two very high-quality opponents. So they're coming in here, and it's like I told our football team, they're going to have a tremendous amount of confidence because they're also seeing what we've put on video. So it's all about us. It's all about our preparation. But they're a tough, physical, hard-nosed football team. Defensively, they make you earn every yard that they get. I think they're really quick up front. They move the front very well. Linebackers are really good. They're violent. They play downhill and very athletic in the back end. And then offensively, they're going to give us a number of different looks with nakeds and boots and different run schemes, and they do some different things with some players of putting them in different situations. So again, we have to be locked in and focused, and they're very solid in the special teams game as well. So we have yet to meet our standard of performance, and it's all about our preparation. It's all about being ready to go mentally, physically, emotionally on Saturday. And again, how can we take these experiences of the first 2 weeks and apply them into game 3? And with this young football team, we're just going to have to keep teaching, keep learning. But I was very encouraged after watching the video over and over again that, you know, there are some individuals stepping up. We're also playing a lot of youngsters, a lot of true freshmen, and I see them continuing to grow and develop. So obviously not the outcome we want. It's unacceptable. We're gauged on wins and losses. But I do think we made some strides in moving forward and looking forward to getting back to practice today and working to be a better football team. And our kids are resilient. They want to play well. They want to do well. They have very high character, so I trust that we'll have a great week of preparation and get ready for Saturday night.
Coach, you always talk about controlling what you can control. How difficult is it through 2 weeks that a lot of the issues have been self-induced?
Yeah, it's hard because it is always about us, and it's the fundamentals, the details of what it takes to play winning football. And we have a lot of individuals that are doing that, and they're doing it on a consistent basis. And like I said, we still have too many blinking lights. And it's everyone is responsible for their own self-determination. And when you're a very close-knit, connected football team, that the accountability has to be towards each other. And it starts with us as coaches. We have to do a better job of continuing to demand it in practice, continue to show it, continue to teach it, and then we have to do a better job as players too. So we're all in it together, but it starts with me. It starts with our coaches, and then it obviously goes to our leadership group and so forth. But they're fixable, but they're also, some of them are physical. You know, when you watch the game and you watch the silent video, you know, you're watching it. Is it a schematical issue? Is it a good play call? Okay? Is it fundamentals and details? Or is it a competency thing of the player? I go back, we had a 3rd and 8 call, and we ran a swing screen to the back, and everybody's all like, that's a terrible play call. That was actually a great play call. And we are one guy away from it being a huge play. But we don't take the right angle. We don't understand leverage. We let the defender fight over the top, and he makes a play. And these are all things that when you look at the video, we have to continue to demand as a coaching staff, and our players get it. They can tell you when they do it wrong. And so it's now, you can't forget how you felt in those locker rooms Saturday night. You have to remember that when all of a sudden, you know, for these kids, it's Tuesday. They think Saturday is a million miles away. Saturday is right around the corner. So you have to win each day. And that's got to be your mindset, and that's got to be your mentality. And when you have that approach, and so what I told our team is that's why we practice the way we practice. You want your practices to be harder than the games. And when you practice, you have to have game speed repetitions because you're practicing habits, and your habits become game day realities. That's just how it works. We have a lot of youngsters that are just learning that. And it's been some hard learning lessons the first 2 weeks, but now they're starting to like see it like, oh my gosh, coach, that's why we do that. Okay, now I get it, coach. My mindset was this way. But as a coach, you just have to keep demanding it. And as the head coach, I have to keep demanding it from the assistant coaches, and I have to keep demanding it from the players, and I got to keep demanding it from myself. That's why I went back again today and rewatched the video because I have to make sure. So I came in and I had a plan for all 9 position groups. These are what I expect at these 9 position groups for today's practice. And these are the improvements I expect out of practice today from these 9 position groups. I mean, I got players texting me their unit goals, their individual goals for practice. So they're thinking along those lines. It's just now, as you know, you're at practice. All y'all are at practice. When you get into the final stages of practice, that's where your focus has to kick in. That's like finishing in the fourth quarter. And a lot of times, I was reading a book, and, everybody says they just want to have fun. I get that. But when fun is more important than focus, you're not going to win a lot of football games. So we have to really work on the focus part of it, of staying locked in the moment on every single play.
You guys had a handful of injuries against Memphis last week. How difficult does that make maybe your job in preparation for the rest of the week, especially through practice? I know JT Shrout was one of the guys that went down. Is there any sort of changes that maybe you make this week to prepare maybe Jackson Daly to take that starting spot Saturday?
Well, I think it's the way we practice, first of all, is all 3 quarterbacks get ample repetitions, particularly, number 1 and number 2. And then number 3, you have a package for him. But Jackson gets the exact same amount of reps as JT, so that won't change at all. But it is a challenge as a coach, but this is where your depth kicks in. It probably leads into a great segue right now, unfortunate, but we've lost Tank Sujic for the year. So he's done for the year with a knee injury. So obviously feel for him. This is the second year in a row that his season has come to this. I feel for him. I feel for his family. Ethan Hassler will be out 4 weeks. So we're pretty banged up across the board. So we're going to have to really, really now rely on some youngsters and continue to get them ready. But those are the 2 significant injuries. Everyone else, the injuries that occurred in the game, they're basically listed as probable and day-to-day.
Coach, I guess touching on the injuries a little bit, who do you expect to kind of step up in the defensive line now that you've got some things going on there? And was it a situation with JT where he could have returned the other night, or was he out when he left?
He was out. So he couldn't push off his foot. So he was out. Nate Marty's an individual, the transfer from Princeton, that is going to step up and have more significant playing time. We're going to need a lot from him. Micah Bland was also injured in the game. He's listed as day-to-day, so we'll see how that goes. But we expect to get him back. So that was probably the best news out of all, is that it wasn't what we expected. So that's a positive thing. So, again, it's individuals stepping up. Rusty Rustemeyer is another individual that needs to step up, redshirt freshman. So we're going to be, when we thought we were young already, we're going to be really young up there. But, again, it really comes back to a collective group effort, and that's why the complementary football is so big. But, again, that game came at a lot of cost in terms of depth, especially in the defensive front for us.
Defensively, really good in the first quarter against Memphis. Where did you see the most improvement from game 1 to game 2 on the defensive side?
I think our overall eye discipline on defense, I think our swarm to the football, the way we leverage the football, but it comes down to critical plays. We do a great job all in the drive. We have a 4th down and 3, and we lose our technique at the line of scrimmage at the corner position, and they run a slant, and their player makes a play and makes a diving catch. One of the other key plays when you talk about 2 to 3 plays that can make a difference in the game is they have 3rd and goal and about the 9. In most red zone touchdown passes are when you lose contain on the quarterback and they're on the scramble situation. And we don't maintain leverage. We let the quarterback escape the pocket. He gets outside the pocket. They execute their scramble drills, and the opposite of a scramble drill for defense is what you call plaster. You plaster your man, you attach to him, and we did it all but one individual, and he didn't use his plaster technique, and it's a touchdown. And those are the things that we got to get rectified. We got to get cleared up to win football games. Is those 2 to 3 plays usually come in critical moments of the game, whether it's down and distance, whether it's time remaining on the clock. You know, you never know when that's going to happen, but those are the discipline details, the consistency in performance that we talk about all the time. And they knew coming off the field, Coach, I mean, it was pretty evident, but they know now we just need to apply it in the heat of the battle, so to speak.
Obviously, offense has got to be better. Haven't scored a touchdown yet this year. So what areas of the Stony Brook defense do you think you guys can find some success this week?
Well, you're exactly right. I don't think I've ever been part of a year like this starting this way. So, you know, we always talk about adversity is going to hit you at some point. Every coach talks about it. We've probably suffered it earlier than half the teams. But now it's, you know, what do we do with it? And, again, it's all the little breakdowns that go into scoring touchdowns. I know this with Stony Brook. They're going to make us earn every yard that we get. And so, again, we have to be fundamentally sound. You know, it's as simple, as crazy as this may sound, the ability to throw and catch. We had 7 drop passes Saturday night. And I told our staff, I told our team going into the game, we have to be able to make the routine plays on the perimeter. We have to be able to catch the football. And, again, it's like I talked about is the rhythm and flow of a game. Well, we have a perfectly executed pass, and we drop it. And then the next play, we throw an interception. The interception should have never occurred if we execute that play. And I think, again, it's just about the overall details of executing on a consistent basis. That's the thing that gets you as a coach because it's there. The play calls are there. Everything is there. Our offensive line, I thought, did a really good job in the pass protection schemes. They did a good job of really letting the quarterback set his pocket. But there's times, too, with our quarterback, you throw with your feet, okay? And everything talks about progressions and how you read your progressions. Well, your feet take you to your completions. And once you eliminate a progression, you never go back. And I didn't think our quarterback's eyes were good all night. We weren't good with our feet in the pocket. And we had all day to throw the football. And those are all things, I think, with game repetitions, game speed reps. But I know this. I know this program very well. I was telling the staff the story is Stony Brook was a Division III football program, a very good Division III football program. And I was actually, their last game, being a Division III member, I coached against them. I was the offensive coordinator at Wilkes University. We had to go to Long Island. We played at Stony Brook, and we played them in an ECAC playoff game, and we won in overtime. And I'll never forget walking off the field, and as a young coach, you're like, wow, this is going to be a Division I program next year. And now it comes full circle. So, you know, I've kind of followed their program from afar, just of knowledge of being out on the East Coast and understanding the quality of high school player that they get, and then the transfers. They have a number of transfers on their football team, quarterbacks from Buffalo. They have another player from James Madison. You know, they have some good players. So, again, they're going to make us earn everything that they get. Nobody's going to give us anything.
Wanted to ask you about, Micah Bland and Gavin Potter. Just what have been your impressions of them so far? Like they've made, several plays these first couple games.
Yeah, I would say work in progress. Just to start off with Micah is, Micah is a very high character individual. His care factor is very, very high, and he's actually turned into one of our leaders of our football team. So I think for Micah, it's consistency, play in and play out, but his size inside helps us. In terms of Gavin Potter, the same thing. I think it's just a high level of consistency, how you communicate at the Mike linebacker position, how you set the front, all those things that go into getting all 10 other guys aligned on defense. But again, I thought they played good football. I thought Gavin probably played his best football game he's played since he's been here, and we're going to need him to continue to grow and evolve in our defense from a communication standpoint, from the fundamentals and details. But I thought both those individuals made significant improvements from week 1 to week 2.
You keep this locker room from heading in the wrong direction. Obviously, back-to-back games like that, 3 points in 2 weeks, just a lot of things going against that locker room. How do you keep it from going south and moving forward
Yeah.
you know, to try and obviously get that win instead of heading in the wrong direction?
Good question, and it's only week 2. I mean, again, and we've played 2 really quality opponents, so I think it's keeping things in perspective. The silent video, the video, when they came here yesterday, they were reading me. It's amazing. Like, they know what time I show up to the team meeting. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, he was 8 minutes early. It may be a different flavor today in the team meeting. And all I did is I presented the facts, and we watched the video, and I pointed out all the improvements that we made. So I think it starts with me. It starts with our leadership group. You know, it starts with, you know, the more you invest, the harder it is to be distracted. You know, where it affects is the guys that are half in, half out. But if you truly invest and you believe in you and you believe in your teammates and you're connected, you don't let anybody divide you. And I think it's harder in today's world than it was maybe 5 years ago because of all the distractions that everyone has and everyone pulling at them and trying to get in their heads. But if you're a fan, the negativity does not help your team. And I think that's what we got to keep in mind. Put it all on me. I'm responsible. You know, don't put it on the kids. Let them play. I think that's the biggest thing is we have high character. I think we do have a high care factor. You know, they came in Sunday night and they watched Swamp Kings as a football team. So they're trying. You know, they're coming in here and they're like, tell me what you need today, Coach. We don't have enough leaders yet. We only have 11 seniors. You know, we had a group just like, it may sound crazy, but I did not like our sideline demeanor Saturday night. I thought the way I expect and the way Butch Jones teams are, our sideline has to be electric. It's filled with juice. There's energy. Well, you know what? It wasn't. You know, third down, our fans need to get up. Our players got to get them up. They got to be bouncing around. Our players on the field got to feed off of our sideline. And I look at it in 80% of the players on our sideline were new. This is their first home game. And you can't assume anything. And so we always, everywhere I've been, we have a camera that films our sideline. We call it the juice cam. And if they don't help us win by juice and energy, they don't dress. It's an honor and a privilege to put on that Arkansas State uniform. You know, we chart connections, chest bumps, high fives, all that. And I thought defensively we played with a lot of connection. You could really see it. We had some things that we've not done since we've been here in terms of connection and energy and celebrating together and doing some different things that you can build upon. And that helps capture, create, and maintain momentum of a football game. So I have to teach everything from sideline etiquette to all the little things that go into that. That's my responsibility. But I think when the players read my temperament and my demeanor, they don't want to let us down. You know, it's great that everyone gets upset. You're supposed to win the games, but nobody will care as much as the coaches and the players because we invest in this every day. Just the volume of hours and work that go into a preparation of one game. There's a lot of investment, and when you don't reach that goal of winning that football game, it's a letdown. But we have what's called a 24-hour rule. Whether we win or whether we lose, in 24 hours, it's gone. And we live the football season, you live in a week-to-week season. And if you don't live in a week-to-week season, you're going to have the ebbs and flows and the emotional swings. But if you have a mentality of a week-to-week season, and they come in on Monday, we watch the video, we lay it to bed, it's done, it's gone. You can never get it back. And it's on to the next. And I think a lot of times, too, you have to have players in your program that your younger players want to emulate, that they model their game after. They model how they live their lives off the field. They model how they work every single day. You know, and I had some of our young players 2 weeks ago step up and tell me who they emulated in the program. And we had some older players that were shocked that some of our freshmen were actually watching them and they knew their pattern of behavior. They knew their body language. They knew their temperament. They were watching them. Some of them tried to emulate them, and they're good people to emulate. So I think just constantly being honest, being truthful, setting the standards and expectations, but also creating a level of positive energy. Everything is about positive energy. And so I thought our players, we had one of the best Mondays we've ever had. One of our best Monday practices, probably our best team meeting we've had this season. So I think our players have moved on. I'll know a little bit more the way we practice this week. But it's us as coaches to get the most out of them. You know, little things like getting together, Thursday nights, of going to different restaurants in the community with the coaches, having the players over to our houses for Thursday night dinners. You know, all those things, I think all those things are invaluable.
A little bit, considering that this is such a young team, and you've got that conference game right around the corner. How vital is it to get a victory Saturday night and have something that they can build on and draw on?
Well, it's all about winning. There is no moral victories. That's, I'm saying we've improved in a lot of areas, which we have, but there's no moral victories. It's all about winning football games. But obviously, we need to start playing better in all three phases and get back to that word again, complementary football. And so again, playing well and playing up to the standard that we expect, that we have set forth in this program, is vital and is critical as we continue to. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And how can we grow and elevate and be a better football team each and every week? And really, everyone says, what defines a successful season? I've always had this philosophy. You either underachieve or overachieve as a football team. And so the successful season will be gauged on, do we overachieve? Do we meet what our skill level allows us? Do we meet the expectations? Do we meet, everything that we laid out that we are capable of? And you either underachieve or overachieve, and that's kind of how I gauge success. And then obviously by wins and losses too, that's what we're graded on. And really, if you think about it, every game is a test. It's no different than being a professor. If you're a professor, the way you teach comes out in the exams. And so if you have a class that's failing your exams, well, maybe you're not getting the point across. It's the same thing with us. We have a pass or fail grade every Saturday. We have a test. We've not done well on our test the last 2 weeks. So what are we doing to improve? How are we going to get better? And how can we improve on a test this week? Every week is a test in and of itself. There's so much that goes into the game of football. And from a cerebral standpoint, from a communication standpoint, from a teamwork standpoint, there's so much that goes into it. And if you have 1 or 2 blinking lights, you're going to struggle. And I think that's kind of been our MO so far this year, but we're working to get that corrected. And those individuals that need to get better, they also understand that. They know that.
I just want to ask about the cornerback position quick. It seems like there's a rotation of corners going Saturday. So is that kind of the plan going forward? Just kind of where things at with that position?
Yeah, I think that's a position that's been extremely competitive, and you earned the right to play by the way you practice. We had a great learning lesson. We had a freshman. He performed pretty well, got a little bit of love and attention after the Oklahoma game. He did not have a good week of practice, and he did not play in the game. And we're standing there, and I'm very close with his family, and I said, did your parents come to the game? He said, yes. I said, did they ask you why you didn't play? And he goes, yes, sir. Good week of practice. And right there, that was a small win because our culture is kicking in. And so we talked about the expectations of practice. So you earn the right to play on Saturday by your body of work throughout the course of practice. And if you have a great practice and we think you can play winning football, we're going to play. And I think you can never have enough corners. I think we found that out when we had to play Southern Miss last year. I believe we were on our 4th and 5th string corners. We had guys playing I never thought would play in a game. And it's amazing with the injury situation. For as long as I've been in coaching, it runs in cycles and patterns. And it usually hits 1 or 2 position groups. It's amazing how that runs and takes its course. And we're having that right now on our football team. But I think depth is a critical component to that. I think the other thing, a lot of your special teams positions are comprised from the defensive backfield. And so, again, we're going to challenge some more true freshmen to get on special teams and not be able to take a step back in terms of our expectations with special teams. So that position group is also critical to not just competing at the corner position, but also on the special teams as well.
Last one for me is just, you talk a lot about leaders and needing more leadership. Can you give us a few names of some of the players who have emerged as some of those leaders?
Yeah. I think the most two consistent leaders that we have had has been Malik Stryker and Justin Parks. I think those two, week in and week out, have showed a consistent leadership. That's why I brought them to Sunbelt Media Days. I think Jacob Bear is another one of those individuals. I thought really for the first time in the game after the locker room, McKeelan Thomas stepped up. I was really proud of him. So I thought he did some things. We have a leadership group that's a core group of about 15 guys that they have to earn their way on our leadership group. Jaquez Cross is trying to lead. I thought he had some growing pains Saturday night. And again, he wants to do so well that I think there was times he got outside of himself or the scheme. You know, for instance, the start of the second half, he bounces a kickoff return to the field. We've never done that, and it's just him trying to make a play, but you have to learn from that unfortunate circumstance that happened. But Jaquez is one of those individuals. Zach Wallace is another individual. Jackson Daly is another individual that I've challenged, that he needs to step up. All the quarterbacks need to lead. Jalen Rayner is one of those guys. I get a text message from him every single day. And it's just, so I'm excited about that group. So we have some individuals that are trying, but it's leadership is very lonely, and you have to lead consistently all the time. You can't lead just when you feel like leading. You got to lead every single day, and it can be mentally exhausting. But these kids, it means a lot to, and our players respect them when they talk as well.
For me, and it's two parts. Do you feel as if maybe part of the offensive struggle could be from a leadership standpoint when you don't have that guy in the quarterback room that has been the guy with this particular group and has been there, done that on the field with this group? And secondly, from the quarterback position, having 3 points in 2 weeks, which we've discussed on the offensive side, is it something where you do want to see each one of those three quarterbacks hit the field and see what you got, just to try to get some kind of spark, get something going?
Yep. To answer both your questions, the first part starting off with the leadership standpoint, absolutely. We talk about being a CEO quarterback. Quarterback has to be the problem solver in your program. He's the one that rallies everything. And, I learned that more than ever. Everywhere we've been, every program we've been, we've had an NFL quarterback. And we had an individual that owned the program. Everywhere we've been, from Central Michigan to Cincinnati to Tennessee, we've had an NFL quarterback. Or you look at the quarterback we had at Cincinnati, Zach Caleros, he's going to go down as arguably him and Warren Moon as the two best quarterbacks to ever play in the Canadian Football League. There's a moxie about them. There's a swagger about them. There's holding each other accountable, all that. And I think sometimes when you're in a quarterback battle, that happens. So to answer your question, yes, we need more from a command presence. The quarterback is the commander of the offense. They set the temperament. So yes. In terms of the three quarterbacks, I use the analogy that the quarterback is basically like a starting pitcher in baseball. You're measured by wins and losses. And everything is about the production from the quarterback position. And then your production is charted, and then you compete every week. And that's why we're going to compete in practice this week. And the individual who has the best week of practice will perform and be the starting quarterback on Saturday. That's always been the case for us. But you're exactly right in terms of what you're saying is, from a quarterback standpoint, we need somebody to step up from a face of the offense, from a mentality standpoint, a command presence, everything that goes there. You're right on with that. And those players understand now. They're really competitive people now. I love them all, and they want to do well. But I think sometimes you get so caught up in wanting to do well and wanting to be perfect that you forget about all that other stuff. And that's why the more repetitions, the more time you do it, the more getting around your teammates and being connected. I think all that goes hand in hand with that.